Hello, I'm Holden Smith. I'm one of your global ambassadors, and I'm here today with Paige. Would you like to introduce yourself, Paige?
Hi, my name is Paige Balut. I am a senior who is majoring in math and music with a minor in German.
And where did you go on your Drehtzerm course?
I did the music capitals of the world, and we went to Germany, Austria, and Czech Republic.
Performances and concerts. How was the class structured, or like what was your time kind of like? Because I'm imagining every day you just go to a concert and that's it, but that's probably definitely not what it is.
So the class it did have a structure, but it was also very like you had a lot of independent time.
Okay.
So we'd usually wake up in the morning and we'd have a tour, museum tickets, or some type of group activity. So
Hmm.
every time we got to a new city, because we traveled to 5 different cities, you would go have a tour of the city with a tour guide. We'd walk around, and then usually Dr. Powell would go, I'll see you back at the hostel, or I'll see you at the concert venue at like 6 p.m.
Okay.
or 7 p.m. He's like, I will see you there. Give yourself enough time so you hopefully don't get like lost on the way there. Um, so it was definitely just like, yeah, we'll see you then. And we'd all break off into groups and we'd be on our own for lunch, dinner,
Hmm.
traveling around the city just to see like what we wanted. Cause our tour guides would like point out, like, oh, here's a thing you could go do.
Hmm.
But then suddenly you were just left to wander.
It's up to you. Yeah. So was Dr. Powell the faculty leader of this trip or program?
Yeah, Dr. Powell was the faculty leader, and Dr. Ryan went with because
Okay.
we needed another
Okay.
person there.
So one of the more like technical questions I think people have with especially Europe traveling abroad is the budgeting. So if you don't mind, how much money did you budget for this program and did you have any left over?
So I budgeted for figuring on the high side. If I
Hmm.
budgeted for like $15 for a lunch and dinner a day
Yeah.
times 28, the math ended up coming out to like $700. And I was sure that's how much I budgeted for, as in like I put in my savings
Hmm.
account. That was the max I was allowed to spend for myself. I spent maybe 400.
Okay.
And that's including like souvenirs, food, desserts, if we went out for drinks, like it was definitely a lot cheaper than I
Hmm.
anticipated, but I was glad to have that like budget room of like this is the max you can spend.
Hmm. It's always nice to have more than what you need, I guess.
Yeah, it was definitely especially because like I would buy like a snow globe from every
Hmm.
city, and then like maybe if I bought coffee, but like a lot of meals ended up being cheaper, or we'd like split it with a friend.
Hmm.
So when we were touring, we ended up seeing at least one concert every day, and we were gone for 28 days.
Hmm.
And some days we even saw two concerts. So the whole point was to just get a very basic background in classical music. So, and on our trip, we had half music majors and then half non music majors. So it was a very different experience for the two different groups.
Do you have a specific concert you remembered the most?
Yeah, so my favorite one was the Berlin Philharmonic
Hmm.
because first off, that is known as like one of the top orchestras in the world, them and the Vienna Philharmonic,
Hmm.
who we also saw. But in Europe, they have these tickets that are like super cheap and they're known as the like not good tickets. So so the lowest ones you can get are standing room, where you're in the very back and you stand for a whole classical musical concert, which is a very weird experience. And then the other ones are the seats behind the orchestra because they just assume you'd want to see like from the front side looking at the orchestra. So we saw in Berlin, we were a row behind the percussionist. Like we were essentially in the orchestra. And the memory is like we could hear the conductor like when he'd make some like weird noises that I'm sure nobody else could hear, but we could hear them, and it was just a very like different experience. Or I was like, this is almost like you're in the ensemble. So like when you like kind of sit in on an ensemble, you're touring, you just sit in the back and don't say anything. It was
Hmm.
like that. But then you also know that this whole auditorium, like everybody else can see you, and then they paid to not sit behind the orchestra.
Oh my, that is an interesting experience that I would love to be a part of one day. To kind of wrap it all up, what would you tell a student, a prospective student, uh, thinking about doing this program, what they should either worry about or consider?
I would definitely know that you do not have to be a musician to go on that tour.
Okay.
And that is if you even just like music,
Hmm.
if you have a one classical piece that you like, I definitely think you should go on this trip. It's really unique in how many places you get to go on.
Hmm.
And I know half of these concerts, even as a classical musician, are things I'm probably never going to see like this again,
Hmm.
especially for the cost it was. Because when I studied away back in Vienna for a semester, paying for concerts, I was suddenly realizing, like, wow, these are kind of hard to get these tickets. These are expensive. And like Dr. Powell put so much work into condensing as much as he can in that while still giving you all that free time. So it's not just for music majors, it's for everybody.
It's a beautiful experience that anyone could be a part of. Um, as a musician myself, did you take your instrument? Because I feel like that would have been a fun, or were you even able to?
It was not recommended.
Not
I know
recommended. Okay.
Dr. Ryan brought her flute because she had a gig later on, and
Mm,
the rest of us just kind of sat there and realized, wow, we're going to not only sound bad because we haven't been practicing all month, but we're going to sound like compared to like what we've been hearing all month. And then suddenly you're going to
yeah.
get back to your suddenly like lower level of playing. You're just like, oh no. Luckily, my private lesson teacher was on the trip.
Oh,
And so she, because that's Dr. Ryan, so
yeah,
she
yeah,
knew that I had not been practicing for a
yeah.
month.
The joys of being a music major. Okay. Thank you, Paige, for telling us about this beautiful experience studying away opportunity. That's all I have.